to do this from the comfort of my own home, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
All right, so good afternoon and welcome to the news you can use, updates from the Colorado Council of Teachers of Mathematics. Our presenters today are Mary Pittman, Kim Smith, Joanie Funderburk, Joseph Bolz, Megan Korponic, Raymond Johnson, and Gulden Karakok. If you have any questions for the presenters during the session, please feel free to enter those in the chat at the bottom of the Zoom room screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. On that note, I'll hand it over to our presenters.
Welcome all. Travis, I think right now you are outnumbered by our presenters today, but we are excited to have you here. Travis, do you mind coming off mute or typing in the chat? We'd love to know where you're from and what your background is.
Oops. Oh, my camera's in the wrong spot. So yeah, I'm head of the Department of Math at South Dakota Mines.
Fabulous. All right, well, so this is the Colorado Council of Teachers of Math. Maybe you'll have a few things you can take back and talk to South Dakota about. It looks like we've got someone else joining us as well. Alan, welcome to the session. We're just getting started. Alan, do you mind coming off of mute and just introducing yourself? Or maybe popping it into the chat. Okay. We've got a few more people coming in, so this is
Yeah, I think maybe the previous session ended. Yeah, so we will have a couple of people.
Fabulous. Good to see you, Jenny. All right, I am going to share my screen and we'll get started. So news you can use. My name is Mary Pittman, and I'm going to kick us off. I'm the current president of the Colorado Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and I have a few of our board with us today. So I'm going to start with Kim Smith. She is our vice president. If she can wave for everybody. I think, Joanie, if you don't mind doing a spotlight for us. Thank you, Kim. And then we have Joanie Funderburk, who is our CCTM past president, joining us today. And Joe Bolz, who is our current treasurer. And Megan is not able to be with us this afternoon, but Megan Korponic is our NCTM representative. So we are a state affiliate of the National Council of Teachers of Math. Gulden is with us as well. And she actually is our MAA representative. So we actually have a position on our board for our MAA rep. And last, but certainly not least, Raymond Johnson. And he is our CDE rep, who is, so our Colorado Department of Ed actually has a representative on the board as well. So I'm going to back us up. Sorry about that. I got a little ahead of myself. So today, our intention is to frame around a little bit about what CCTM does, how that's changed a little bit, as with most things in the midst of the pandemic. So we wanted to just share with you a little bit about what we have done in the past, what we currently are doing, and so some of my fellow board members are going to share a little bit about that. We're actually going to do a little math with you because, gosh, why not, right? It's a math conference, and we thought we would share some of the things that will be a great transition from what we have been doing with our members, and you'll get to do a little bit of that with us. And then we'll end with sharing out a little bit about the work that we've been doing as a board to rethink CCTM in the midst of all of the things that have been happening over the last few years. We really have been trying to think differently about what a professional teacher organization is and can do. And so we actually want some of your feedback. So we're going to end with, after doing some math, we're going to actually have a chance to really hear from you. And then likewise, if anything comes up as we go through the session, any questions you have for us, feel free to jump in and let us know, and we can handle that chat as we're going along. I paused there because I just realized Raymond says you're not seeing my full screen. Is that still true, Raymond?
I
It is.
it,
I think it's just because your browser is not also full screen, but
Okay.
it looks like you're still kind of in presentation mode, so it should be fine.
Okay. So I'm going to hand this off to Kim and let Kim do a little bit of the background. Actually, take that back. I'm handing it off to Raymond, or am I still doing the slide? Sorry about all that. I suddenly had my moment.
Yeah, I think this one was mine.
Okay.
It's just some basic information about the Colorado Council of Teachers of Mathematics. We were formed in 1950, so we are now over 70. We should do a 75th anniversary big deal for ourselves in 2025. And we have connections from the very beginning to the MAA because our founder and first president was also the former governor of the MAA Rocky Mountain section, Forrest Fish. We are Colorado's preeminent organization for preschool through 12th grade teachers of math. We're an NCTM affiliate, as Mary said. We have a 19-member board that covers a variety of positions, everything from region representatives to people like Gulden and myself who are representing other stakeholders in math education, to treasurers and secretaries and vice presidents and so on. And as an organization, we've been focused primarily on professional learning, networking, and advocacy. But as Mary will share later, we're a group with a lot of traditions, but also a lot of new challenges to face. One thing we have done that would be new if you haven't been involved in CCTM in the last couple of years is that we did adopt a new membership platform that came with a new website. And so if you're a member, you have access to a lot of these features, including the ability to renew your membership and register for events. You get a transcript now for your certification hours, which has been super useful with so many virtual events the last couple of years. We have a community forum and event archives, and we'll talk more about those events here shortly. You can connect with other members and control how often we email you. So those are all features we didn't have a few years ago. Kim, is this one yours?
Can totally take this one.
Great.
We, our Colorado Math Teaching Journal, our Colorado Mathematics teachers, we have many published articles. They're all available online through a database. And this map on the screen just kind of shows how far-reaching the database is. In 2020, the CMT Journal had 804 downloads from 48 countries. In 2021, there were 2,012 downloads from 84 countries. So our impact is far-reaching. And I do know we have our CMT Journal representative and we have editors. And I know Raymond is really involved in that as well. We're always looking for contributors to our journal. So if any of you out there have any interesting things that you would like to think about contributing to the CMT, you can certainly be in touch with us, and we can get those articles going. So historically, CCTM has hosted a state math conference, and despite the challenges of the last 2 years, our board was able to pivot to a virtual format and continue to positively impact math education in the state and beyond. Our virtual conference kicked off with a national panel featuring Jose Vilson, Marian Dingle, Zandra de Arajo, and Teresa Wills. Kathy Martin hosted a wonderful panel of Colorado math educators, and we had the pleasure of continuing to honor outstanding math leaders and educators from Colorado at our virtual awards night. This all led to our full-day virtual conference, which provided a wide array of options for K-12 educators and included many Colorado and national speakers, featuring NCTM President-elect Kevin Dykema and our very own CCTM President, Dr. Mary Pittman. We believe this event was a great success. As Raymond was talking about earlier too, all of the sessions and all of the features from the virtual conference are available to our members, and those are archived on our website. The CCTM did not waver in their support for math educators in 2020. They organized state and national speakers for a free webinar series. And you can see these, we have a virtual presentation. They were attended by hundreds of math educators from Colorado, the United States, and beyond. We were fortunate to wrap up this series with our NCTM past president, Robert Berry, and his presentation was the perfect kickoff for our virtual Taking Action book study. Again, in our archives on our website, all members have access to these webinars. So this book study was a wonderful opportunity for regular collaboration with teachers statewide, especially when we were somewhat isolated in our classrooms and in our individual homes. It was all free and took participants on a 10-month deep dive into NCTM's Taking Action book series, detailing each of NCTM's 8 effective mathematics teaching practices. Participants had the choice of 3 different session times, and they could read any of the 3 books at the 3 different levels. They also had the opportunity to earn recertification credit hours or university credit. One of my favorite parts of every session of the book study was when participants had the opportunity to engage in a math task. So this is the part where we thought you all might enjoy engaging in work similar to what we did in the book study. So now I'm going to pass this off to my colleague, Joe Bolz.
All right, thank you, Kim. So we are going to do some math, but in order to introduce the problem, we're going to watch a short video, and you'll know when to stop it. Mary, because it's going to say, pause it here. All right, so get your thinking caps on, because this is a very interesting problem, and you'll have a little fun with it. All right, go ahead.
The villainous Dr. Schrodinger has developed a growth ray and intends to create an army of giant cats to terrorize the city. Your team of secret agents has tracked him to his underground lab. You burst in to find that it's a trap. Dr. Schrodinger has slipped into the next room to activate his device and disabled the control panel on the way out. Fortunately, your teammates are masters of spycraft. Agent Delta has hacked into the control panel and managed to reactivate some of its functionality. Meanwhile, Agent Epsilon has searched through surveillance to find the code for the door, 21014. All you have to do is enter those numbers and you'll be free. But there's a problem. The control panel has only 3 buttons, one which adds 5 to the display number, one which adds 7, and one which takes the square root. You need to make the display output the numbers 2, 10, and 14 in that order. It's okay if it outputs different numbers in between, but there's no way to reset the display. So once you get to 2, you'll have to continue on to 10 and 14 from there. Not only that, Agent Delta explains that there are other traps built into the panel. If it ever shows the same number more than once, a number greater than 60, or a non-whole number, the room will explode. Right now, the display reads 0, and time is running out. There's only one way to solve the puzzle, with a few small variations. How will you input the code to escape from Dr. Schrodinger's lair and save the day?
You may want to take a picture of this slide so you can remember the rules, because in a second we're going to have you break out and try and do this within your group. So you only have a +5, a +7, and a square root. You have to hit 2, 10, and 14 in that order, and you can't repeat. You can't get greater than 60, and you can't have anything that's a decimal. All right. So we're going to give you guys about 6 minutes in a group to work this out. But I just want to call your attention to one thing to listen to as you're working your small group. If you could jump to the next slide real quick, Mary. So as you're working, I want you to have two hats on. One is a student, where you're trying to do the math like your students would, and participating within the mathematics. And the other is a teacher. Listen to the interactions that are happening within your group, all right? And think specifically about what is the thinking that you're hearing? What are the strategies that you're hearing? And then when you come back, I'm going to ask you to highlight some of the thoughts. So what are you going to select to highlight? All right. So we're solving a puzzle and we're trying to think about our thinking. 6 minutes. Can we handle that? Any questions before we break you out?
One quick question, Joe.
Yeah.
Once we get to 2 and the next number is 10, are we starting at 2 or are we starting at 0 again?
You're starting at 2 still.
Okay, great.
All right. If there are no questions, Mary's going to send you into breakout land, sorry.
Mona? So CCTM board members right now, Jenny's by herself. If any of you are like excited to go in, can I move you in to work with Jenny? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Kim can.
I know the answers though, so.
Yeah, and I know Jenny, so she's the MAA president.
You can come with us, Gulden.
Yeah,
do you mind being assigned? It's more the better.
I'll go.
Okay. There we go.
I'll jump in there too if nobody needs me here.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. We have a little timer. Should I keep track?
I did not put the timer on because I wasn't sure. You can give them quite a bit of time. We're plenty good on time is how I would say it.
All right.
It is funny how quickly people disappear from a room when you're going to make them go to a breakout room. Because we had up to 5 and then we went down.
Well, maybe it was not what they thought it was going to be. Who knows?
We were doing good until it's really common. I don't know, Joe, how many of these, but like Joanie and I will tell you, like the moment you do a breakout room, people drop out of conferences. But the problem is full.
I noticed as a virtual teacher that when I used breakout rooms and people didn't respond, it meant that they had stepped away from their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that that's always true. With some of the TI events that we've been doing, we see people either just drop off the call altogether, or they've been engaging and they just don't go into the breakout room.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had to really pivot and say, if you'd like, you can participate in the breakout room. If not, just hang out here until the breakout rooms close. And encourage people not to, because for me, it's like, I'm okay if you don't want to participate, just don't hang up.
Right.
Marissa, is it okay for us to pause until the group comes back?
Yeah, certainly.
That was a ridiculous premise for a problem, but still fun to try to do.
That's what makes it all the better. All right. So you did a lot of math. You talked a lot about this problem. If someone doesn't mind sharing out just kind of your overall thoughts, those meta thoughts of what was it like? What were the kind of strategies you heard? How did you pick the strategies you wanted to hear? And how did you order those strategies you wanted to share? All right. So does someone want to share out any or all of those items as it relates to monitoring, selecting, and sequencing?
Oh, Kim, I think you're muted.
Jenny or Gulden, do you want to share any of our strategies?
Well, I think there was like a kind of a free play at first. We were just playing a little bit on our own, adding things. And then people started to throw some strategies, like if we add all 5s, what's going to happen? If we add all 7s, what's going to happen? And then there was the other strategy that, oh, can we create a tree diagram, like starting from 0, 5, 7, and goes what happens next kind of a strategy. And I don't remember what happened after that.
Well, then our first goal was just trying to get to 2. And once we were able to get to 2, then we thought about the strategies and how we added the 5 7s and used the square root in order to think about the pattern to get to 10 without duplicating any numbers. And I'm gonna let Jenny jump in.
Oh no, so I was gonna jump in because getting to 2 actually required a little bit of backward thinking. We started from the 2 and said, how could we have gotten here? And in fact, I thought the most brilliant idea was, could we use the negative? when we took the square root, but we decided we had to use what the calculator gave us. But I really like the idea of aiming for a negative number and adding that back up.
In the world of playing cats, I say those negatives should be fair game.
But I think the thinking backwards, thinking about what squares we're trying to hit was really important. So thank you, Kim.
And I really liked how you guys sequenced that too, how you shared it, like how you progressed it the way you went, like how you just played right away, which was really fun. And then you tried individual strategies, you tried some strategy you knew of, you tried to be creative using negatives, and then you're like, okay, we got to get to 2. How are we going to do this? Let's think backwards. And that's tricky, getting to 2. Like, that's probably the hardest part, I think, is getting to that 2. After that, it's a little bit downhill, but
the constraint of not being able to go past 60 sounds like it's limiting, but it's ultimately helpful
right,
to force you to work with a limited number of squares and make the most of them.
Right, yeah, because like if you could have gotten to 64, you could, well, maybe not 64, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yes. All right, if you want to click the slide real quick, Mary. Thank you. Oh, wait, back one. There you go. And so just so you know, as I was preparing for today, I was anticipating, I know this is going to sound shocking, but as a teacher and a coach, one thing I try to coach my teachers to do is actually to do the math before they teach it so they can anticipate. There are a lot of teachers that still don't know how to catch on to this process. They didn't, because they know the math, they don't have to do the math to anticipate. But I always suggest doing it so you can anticipate how the students are going to react to the task, how they might approach the task. And having done it myself, you know, I couldn't find my post-it that I had done it before, so I did do it again and worked it out. I'm not showing the answers because I don't want everybody to see. But you know, it allowed me to think about what struggles you guys might entertain as you were going through. And the negative part was one of the things I thought of right away. Is like, oh, can I make negatives? Because that would make this so much easier. But there is no negative key. And how do I do that? And then connecting, just like if there were multiple groups, I would have found a way to connect your strategies between the multiple groups so you can see the similarity differences. Because a lot of times, you know, there are so many unique practices in math, but it's really eye-opening when you start to see the commonalities too in your strategies, to say, like, even though you did it a different way, there is a reason why both strategies work so well. So now if you want to see the TED Talk version of the solution, we have that on the next slide, and you can see the rest of it here and see how they did it. Oh, I think you need volume there.
Smaller, but there are only a few options where you can use that button: 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and 49. You'd love to make 4 or 16, then you could hit the square root button once or twice to get 2, but you can't make either with just the 5 and 7 buttons. What will you do? You look at the other possible options for numbers you could take the square root of. 9 you can't reach. 25 and 49 would take you back to 5 or 7, and you can already get to each of those. 36 is your only option. You add 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, and then hit the square root button. Why that series of 5s and 7s? It's somewhat arbitrary, but you know that you want to avoid 10, 14, and perfect squares, since you'll need them later. This gets you to 6. Does that help? Looking at your options, you see that 16 is now in your sights. You add 5 twice more to reach it, then hit square root twice. That gets you to 2. You're on your way. Now to 10. You can't get straight there through addition alone, so you're going to have to reach another square. Taking the square root of 9 or 25 would get you to a good place, but it turns out that 25 is unreachable from 2. So you add 7 to get to 9. Then take the square root again. That gets you to 3. Adding 7 again makes 10. Finally, you need to reach 14. Thinking backwards, you imagine where you could be before 14, 7 or 9. But 9 won't work because you've already used 9. However, you could get to 7 by reaching 49 first. You add your way towards it, being careful not to hit any of the numbers you've hit so far. You thread your way carefully, adding 5 5s and 2 7s. Then, square root to 7 and add 7 more. The door opens, and you're out of the trap. Thanks to your problem-solving skills, your team gets Schrodinger's cats out of the box in the nick of time. As for Schrodinger, you can be certain of one thing. He'll be spending quite some time in a box of his own. Interested in navigating another maze of numbers? Try this one out.
All right, you can pause it there. Thank you guys for doing some math with us. Again, those are based in the 5, it was on one of the slides earlier, and I'm going to missay it now, but they're basically 5 practice for discourse that are found in NCTM's Taking Practice or Taking Action book study that we did, also within the books themselves. So not just something I made up, those 5 practices, but they are heralded by the NCTM. And I'm going to pass it on to Mary to take us to the next phase.
Jenny, thanks for sticking with us this long. So we just wanted to share, you know, a lot of professional organizations are certainly starting to think differently about what it means to be of service. And so we've been using an asset-based approach to do that this year called Appreciative Inquiry. It's got 5 phases. So our strategic focus was really around how, I mean, if we'd done it from a problem perspective, we have diminishing membership, and we have for years.
Everybody does.
Yeah. So we tried to reframe that because if you do it from an asset-based point of view, you want to have a positive frame. So I'm going to forget exactly off the top of my head because you know it's Friday afternoon. But we took a positive frame around strategic focus of like what do we need to do in order to change that. And so we've been doing a discovery process that actually took us to doing interviews of each other and interviews out into the field. And asking what's the best of the best and what do you value. And then we did some dreaming about what that might look like in the future. Like, let's go out 5-10 years. What do we hope people say and can do? We actually tomorrow are in the design phase. We started a little bit around design phase, which is a space where you start to really make provocative statements about what we hope for at the end of those 5 years. Like what are positive statements that we would make that we could say like this is what CCTM would represent. Our intention, if we'd had a slightly larger group, was actually to do some of the appreciative inquiry with you. That said, I did want to at least share the questions with you and then get any thoughts or insights you might have that you'd be willing to share. So appreciative inquiry usually tries to ground everything very much in like the personal. And always assets. So like what attracted you to teaching math, or what's been a high point of teaching for you this year, sort of a great place to start because it makes it very emotional and brings up those things that people value. And then we ask questions about what do you value in an organization that would be designed to support you, what trends do you think are happening that would impact us, and then sort of like what else should we be considering as we plan for the future. I'll let you think a little bit about those and will not put you on the spot, but I will share the next slide and then I'm going to come off, stop sharing screen and we can just talk a little bit if there's time. Where we've come so far is that we sort of have 5 pillars that have come up as what we're going to write provocative propositions around. Like what do we want to say in 5 years about our membership? What do we want to say about being a service organization? Like, what does that really mean for us? Collaboration, and I will actually say there's a lens here that we haven't quite captured yet, but around ensuring diversity. We know as an organization that we are, like the teaching profession, heavily white and female. That said, we are also heavily urban as an organization. And our Colorado, so like there's lots of ways we could talk about. We also are heavily high school as an organization. So there's lots of ways that we would talk about diversity that we need to be more intentional about. We want more elementary teachers. We would like to attend more to our rural teachers. Colorado is a very rural state, actually, once you leave the I-25 corridor. And then we want to really attend to learning. And then the social piece, the actual word we had, but I changed it on everyone. Right, yesterday was humanizing because I wasn't sure who I would have in this room and how much, but like what we meant by humanizing is really that mathematics is a human endeavor, and the human connections that we make, like the power of mathematics is so much in the flourishing activities. You know, you think about some of the things that NCTM has talked about. And so I put social there as sort of a placeholder, depending on how big of a group we had and how much time I had to explain it. But really, I think humanizing is probably the more appropriate word. So I'm going to stop sharing and just open up if there's any like questions, any thoughts that anybody in the group, but definitely Jenny, not to put you on the spot, but would love any thoughts that you have.
Am I the only non-board member here?
We're very heavy.
Yeah. But I could say quickly that I really like the activity we did as board on this for like the model that we had, and I thought, oh, maybe I could think about a way that we will do something like that for the MAA Rocky Mountain section board and people on that thinking about it, because I believe the section has kind of similar struggles and kind of similar things that they need to revisit and think about moving forward, the member number, which kind of impacts the budget and all that stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny, because I'm just taking over as the chair, so I don't know that much about the whole thing, but I thought it would be a good activity to do that personally. So
I really appreciate the appreciative inquiry approach. Yeah, I mean, we're all about sort of the asset-based models now and not the deficit models. So we need to start practicing it in everything that we do. My university's advisors have really tried to take on appreciative inquiry as the way that they work with their students.
That's wonderful.
Our students. So it was nice it's nice to see it here, and I'm planning for my own board meeting shortly, and I'm like, oh, these are good ideas. Just saying.
I'm glad. I will say, walking in, it's relatively new to me and the board, so it's been fun. Like every time I thought, I don't know how this is going to work, and yet it's been fun, and like people really walk away energized. So,
and I will say, there is a group I work with here in Tacoma called Graduate Tacoma. We have in 2007, Tacoma was on the front page of Newsweek as a dropout factory, having a 55% graduation rate from high school. And the governor, no. What do you have in a town? It's not a governor.
Mayor.
The mayor and the superintendent of schools got together and said, we have to change this. And they created a foundation whose whole job it was to get the community behind increasing high school graduation. And their vision for 2020 was to raise the graduation rate by 50%. So bringing it up to 80% by 2020. And they created this foundation that had all kinds of stakeholders. And they did it in 5 years. And so graduation rate's about 90% right now. And the next goal, because we've just set the next goal for the community, is for an equally large percentage of students to have a well-paying job or have earned a degree 6 years out of graduating from high school. And what I love is when they're doing these visioning processes, they call these goals their big, hairy ass goals, otherwise known as your BHAGs. And that's what they call them.
That's hilarious.
But they have amazing data dashboards,
Yeah.
and you can go and you can see what's happened to, they pick 14 different things they're measuring, from preparation for kindergarten to math scores at the 5th grade and the 8th grade. And you could just go and you can look and you can pull it apart by race, you can pull it apart by zip code, you can pull it apart by so much stuff. And I just find that their work is very inspirational to me.
Yeah. Thank you. Never one to keep a meeting longer than necessary. I will say thank you, Jenny, for joining us. It's so sweet that you engaged with us, even though you're not in Colorado. We definitely appreciated your insight and getting to have you as part of our group.
I couldn't have done the math problem without you, Jenny.
But this was the news I needed, right?
This was the news you need.
It's a great title.
Thank you.
Great topic.
All good on.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you, everybody. Thank you to our presenters for all this awesome information you shared with us today. If you have any remaining questions, feel free to stop by the Hawks virtual booth to speak with a member of our Hawks team. This officially wraps up our first day of the annual Rocky Mountain section of the Mathematical Association of American meeting. There will now be a social hour for faculty and a social hour for students as well. You can view the chat, which I'll post in a second, for meeting room links. Please see the conference website for a complete list of tomorrow's sessions and their descriptions. While accessing the conference website, don't forget to swing by the virtual booth to say hello to our Hawks team. Here you can view a quick 5-minute demonstration and be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. Happy Friday, everyone. Have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Marissa.
Are there students registered?
I believe so. Yeah.
I was looking at Gulden.
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't seen the registration list or information, unfortunately.
I'm like, if they're not going, I think we as the faculty should go do it.
Yeah.
They're having some scavenger hunt or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump
I'm
into
saving both links just in case.
Yeah, I might have both of them. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the faculty one to see what's going on there.
Yeah. I'll see you there.
All right, bye.
Bye.